Today is such a beautiful day. I decided to film this little bit of this Christmas Vlogmas knitting podcast thing outside. So I did the green, kind of emeraldy green color, and I've started the shawl for my husband's grandmother. And today I am dyeing the rose dusty pink in the worsted weight, and it's a non-superwash merino, 100% merino worsted weight yarn, and it is so squishy, and I think it's going to be just perfect for the shawl. And I think it'll go by fairly quick because I'm knitting it on size 9 needles. Yeah, and today we are home doing schoolwork and just doing life at home for most of the day, thankfully, which I don't get a whole lot of days at home, so this is really nice. And then my daughter has a makeup writing lesson this afternoon, which I think is going to be a little cold because it doesn't start till 4 o'clock and the sun goes down, I feel like, shortly thereafter that, especially it goes below the trees probably right around 4 o'clock. So it's going to be a little bit on the chilly side for her. She's going to have to dress warm and in lots of layers. She gets cold fast anyway, so at least she'll have the horse that she's sitting on, and that should be a little bit of warmth. So that's what today consists of: schoolwork and just regular life. I made some egg muffins. If y'all have never done that, it's a great breakfast alternative. I guess not really alternative, just something different for breakfast. Just make like little egg, kind of like quiches. I put sausage, and I had a baked potato left over from dinner that I chopped up in there, and then some eggs and a little bit of cheese. And yeah, everybody loves them. So they work really well to store for later and reheat too. Yeah, so that's our day. Delicious eggy muffins this morning. Oh, that looks really good. Yum. I'm definitely going to have to try that. Another homeschool day, more math and spelling and math and other things to check. Some grammar. So, just a normal day. Okay, I am back at horseback riding, and I am wearing my, but I think it's called Blush Shawl by Andrea Mowry. It has a little bit of brioche, a little bit of fan and feather lace, and fringe. I made this a very long time ago out of a Knit Picks yarn that has like 10% cashmere in it. It is soft and squishy. It's in the platinum colorway. I think the yarn starts with a C, but it's been a couple years at least since I've made this. It has started to pill a good bit, and the fringe is like felted together, but that, I don't care. I still wear it. I think I wear it a lot, partly because of the fringe and because it's soft and squishy, and because it's a very basic neutral colorway. I can wear it with anything. So, on to my knitting for today. I dyed up and wound up my beautiful yarn. I think I'm going to call this Emerald Palace. It's a nice emerald green. Has blue in there. It's kind of a tonal variegated colorway. Here, you can probably see it better in my shawl that I've started. Ta-da! It's a little baby shawl right now, but it's going to grow up and be a big shawl. But you can see with the yarn that it has green and blue And it's more of a tonal than a true like variegated colorway, but it does have a mix of like green and blue. It's not just all like one tones on the same one color, but it's a very light variegated, I guess you could say. Anyways, this is the beginning of my shawl. I started with a garter tab cast on, which worked out quite well because you can't really, other than my tail sticking up here, you really can't see like my cast on tab there compared to this edging. And I decided to do a little like ropey cable. It's just a 1x1 cable, like twisted stitch. There are 2 twisted stitches. And so that is that middle section here that's going to increase at a slower rate than this outside section. And I think it's going to turn out really cool. I'm really excited about it. And I actually just dyed up the rose, dusty rose colorway to go with this. So this is what I will be working on. I have a very adorable little teacup on here. It's not really showing up very well, is it? Little progress keeper, and I'm using that to mark my increases for my center section. So it's a pretty simple shawl. It's garter stitch primarily, and then just with those 2 little 1x1 cables there, and then you have to, you know, of course, do your increases. But I made it the tiny cables so that they could be crossed over every right side row, so you wouldn't have to think too much, because you do increases and you'll do your little cables every time you go on the right hand side, at least those increases, and then you'll just have to figure out when you do these middle increases. So it's not too much trouble. And then at the beginning of the shawl you have some increases here as well, just to go ahead and get it to open up and sit up like here on the back of your neck and on your shoulders a little bit better. So very excited about it. It's going so quickly, but it's also just the beginning. I know it's going to get slower and slower as it increases, but I'm really enjoying it. So I'm doing size 9 needles, and it's creating a very squishy fabric. And this yarn is 100% merino in a non-superwash yarn. So I am planning on doing a little bit of color work in this shawl towards, I think I'm going to have 2 sections of color work. So having a non-superwash wool will actually be better for it being a shawl and having color work, because eventually the color work in the back, any floats will just kind of stick to the shawl, as opposed to like never kind of uniting as one fabric. So that's a good thing. All right, I will get to my knitting, and I'm going to try to work on actually writing up the pattern, because I started and then I actually changed a lot of what I thought I was going to do when I went to actually knit it, which is part of the design process. So I thankfully have a very nice view of my daughter riding from my car this time, which makes me happy because I can sit in my warm car and knit and listen to an audiobook while she's out there. So that works out well.